Bring Mom's clutch or don't come back, Dad shouted, pointing straight at me. My brother piled on. You had the key. We all knew it was you. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't argue. I just opened the laptop, and the moment the screen lit up, their faces drained of color. Bring Mom's clutch or don't come back, Dad's voice cracked like a whip. His fingers stabbed through the air at me. Ezra grinned like he'd been waiting for this moment. We all know you had the key, Jonas. Stop pretending. The living room smelled of stale whiskey, sweat, and dust. A half-empty glass wobbled on the table as Marin slammed the door so hard the frame shook. Mom muttered through tears, her hands twisting like she wanted to hold someone but had no one left to touch. I stood still, every eye tearing into me. Years of practice made my face unreadable. I didn't argue. I didn't beg. Instead, I opened my laptop on the table. The glow lit my face, and when the video began to load, their expressions shifted. Their voices froze in their throats, and for once, they looked afraid of me. My name is Jonas, 26, the ghost in my own family. I grew up being the errand boy, the shield for their mistakes, the one they blamed when something went wrong. You learn, after years of being silenced, that talking is wasted breath. They only hear what they want to hear. So I became quiet. Too quiet. But inside, the bitterness grew teeth. And now, after years of swallowing insults and punishments I didn't deserve, I was ready to spit the truth back out. The truth I'd been saving for the night they least expected it. Family members introduced. Dad, Leonard, 61. His words are weapons. His silence is worse. He doesn't argue. He declares. And every declaration falls on me like law. Mom, Evelyn, 58. She cries into tissues, folds into corners, and lets Dad crush her will. But her silence cuts me deeper than his yelling ever could. Ezra, 30. Loud, smug, always carrying the invisible crown Dad gave him at birth. He lies like it's his first language. Marin, 24. A sharp tongue, colder eyes. She learned from Ezra that cruelty earns applause in this house. 4 people bound by blood but tied tighter by secrets. And tonight they circled me like they always had. But this time, I wasn't their punching bag. This isn't about Mom's clutch, I said softly, closing the laptop halfway. They leaned in, confused by my calmness. Dad snarled. It's about you never carrying your weight. It's about you being the weak link. Ezra jumped in, his smirk curdling into venom. And about the money that disappeared. Don't act innocent. Everyone knows you're the screw-up. Money. Always money. It had been circling every conversation like a vulture. Property, inheritance, bank accounts, all poisoned with greed. I'd seen their games before. Divide, accuse, silence. But tonight, Marin's eyes betrayed her. She flinched when Ezra mentioned money. Her mask cracked, and I caught it. You're all so desperate to keep me small, I said, standing a little taller. Ezra barked a laugh. You are small, always will be. Mom tried to hush him, but Dad's hand shut her down without a word. His power didn't need volume. You never asked why that clutch mattered, I said, scanning their faces. Ezra rolled his eyes. Because it's Mom's genius. But Dad snapped back, sharper than I expected. Because it holds the will. And the air shifted. Finally, their masks slipped. I leaned forward, calm, steady, dangerous. One day, I said, you'll wish you hadn't mistaken my silence for weakness. 16. That was the age my skin stopped being mine. Ezra had crashed Dad's truck drunk. But when Dad found me in the garage, he decided it was easier to blame me. The belt's crack still echoes in my bones. I tasted copper as blood filled my mouth. Mom looked away, her hands trembling, pretending she didn't see. Ezra laughed behind the door. Laughed. That night, I realized my pain was disposable, that Marin, who watched from the hallway, could see the truth but chose her silence over my skin. That memory carved something permanent in me, a scar that still burns whenever Ezra smirks. The laptop screen flickered, a video file played, Ezra's voice filled the room, careless and slurred. Dad doesn't need to know. We'll cash it before he figures it out. It was Ezra. And Marin's laugh followed. Not just a missing clutch, not just an inheritance. They had drained Mom's hidden savings, the money she thought would keep her safe if Dad's temper ever snapped too far. Dad staggered back. Mom's sob cracked the air. I knew, I said, my voice slicing clean through the chaos. I've always known, and I waited until the night you thought you had me cornered. The house erupted, Ezra shouting denials, Marin screeching excuses, Mom sobbing, Dad turning red with rage. I sat still. Their storm couldn't move me anymore. I gave you all my silence, I said slowly. Tonight, I give you the truth. Ezra lunged at me. For a moment, I thought he'd finally strike me the way Dad always had. But Mom, timid, trembling Mom, stepped between us. Her hand pressed to Ezra's chest, tears running down her face. And for the first time in my life, she protected me. I grabbed my jacket, the one that still smelled faintly of the night air I'd always dreamed of escaping into. Where are you going? Mom whispered, her voice broken. Somewhere you can't blame me anymore, I said. Ezra muttered something like an apology. Marin hissed something like a curse. Dad sat silent, the weight of betrayal finally too heavy for even him. But their voices no longer chained me. I walked toward the door lighter than I'd ever been. The air outside hit me like baptism. Cold, clean, new. Behind me, the shouting continued, muffled through the walls. But for once I didn't carry their echoes. Maybe they'd change. Maybe they'd destroy each other. I didn't care, because for the first time in 26 years, I wasn't their scapegoat. I wasn't their shield. I was Jonas. And that was enough. Freedom, I whispered. It doesn't sound like revenge. It sounds like breathing. If you were in my place, after years of blame and silence, would you forgive, or would you walk away forever? Tell me in the comments. Your voice matters here. If this story hit you, subscribe for more. Like if you've ever felt the weight of silence. And comment your truth, because the only way out of pain is through sharing it.